Okay. Imagine.
This is insane.
Can you imagine us in this scenario, more importantly than anything else? We get off the Long Island Railroad as we do every single Monday morning so we can get to my parents' house so we can record this podcast.
Which that's not the
imagine you're in the
pathetic part, yeah.
But you're having, honestly, Andrew, a fun time on the train, I feel like.
And like not often
is it fun.
Sometimes like we're not speaking, but not in a way that like we're mad at each other. It's just kind of like
we're commuting to work. What else
what are we gonna do? This time we were chatting, we're having fun. We were like, we're getting in early this time. We're not recording too many episodes.
Yeah, it was like, this is kind of going to be a really nice day for us.
Yeah. We get off the train. It's almost immediate that Joe's like, where's my phone?
And where's my phone? I'm checking the tote bag that has the microphones in it. I'm checking my backpack. I'm checking my jacket. No phone. And I don't know if you're someone who's ever lost your phone before, but I certainly am not. And
I am.
You've lost your phone?
I've lost everything in my life. I've absolutely lost my phone before.
You've lost your pride, your dignity, and your money.
Yeah. And a lot of other things.
You've lost your phone?
I've lost my phone before.
I remember when your iPod was stolen and then your mom got you a new iPod and she had it engraved on the back of it. Property of Andrew Muscarella, please do not steal. Engraved on the back of it.
She did.
Yeah, I'll never forget. Property
really
of
sweet.
Andrew Muscarella, please do not steal.
I probably just lost it. No, someone stole that. I remember
out of your backpack in the locker room.
Fuck them.
I think you gave people reasons to steal. I know, I'm sorry. I don't want to victim blame, but I think you've given people plenty of reasons to steal.
Well, that's not fair because, I mean, like, just because I am who I am doesn't mean that you should steal.
No, I agree, but I think you've given reasons.
And I really look back on those reasons and I'm like, maybe good for them. Maybe good for them. But like my iPod didn't deserve that. My windshield wipers didn't deserve that. My pride, my dignity, my everything. They stole everything. But they didn't steal that high school election. But I wish they did. Anyways, I checked my phone. I go, let me just check Find My Friends.
I think I almost begged you to.
I looked at Find My Friends. And it was
we watched my phone pull away on the train and Find My Friends.
Mind you, I have a violin case with me because I'm trying to send it back to Amazon via UPS, which I couldn't have done that in Brooklyn. I had to bring it home for some reason.
Party costume weeks ago. For no reason. No one really acknowledged it.
No one cared. And that's the worst feeling.
Yeah. You were like, I bought this violin case and nobody cared.
That was the worst feeling. Like, I decided, violin case was part of my character assignment. I'm going to get a real violin case and
nobody gave a fuck.
I didn't even win best costume. Like, go fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, fuck your drag.
Anyways, next thing I know, it was like game time.
Yes, because I knew what I had to do. We had to get into my mom's car, and she had to chase that train.
And this was the first quarter. That's what I'm doing there?
Yeah.
This was the first quarter.
Yes. I start running. My mom is standing outside her car in the parking lot. I'm screaming from the parking lot, get in the car!
All I was thinking about the entire way back was my sourdough breakfast sandwich that I ordered from Dunkin' Donuts.
We ordered Donkeys for pickup.
We ordered Dunkin' Donuts.
We're running into the car.
Parked in front of the Dunkin' Donuts.
My phone is soaring away at 80 miles per hour on the train. We run to my mom's car. My mom is recovering from COVID-19. She shouldn't even be picking us up in the first place.
No.
But I was like, fuck it. I don't want to call an Uber. Just pick us up. She's wearing a headband around her face, mouth like a mask.
Can't even breathe.
Can't breathe. We're getting in the car. Andrew's water bottle falls. He just lets it be a victim. He goes, so no Dunkin' Donuts? Should we get the Dunkin' Donuts? I'm like, no, we can't get the Dunkin' Donuts.
It would have been 2 seconds. I would have had my sandwich. It would have been amazing. But
it was a split second.
But I get it.
It was a split second. My phone was potentially going to be stolen.
And I don't want you to ever forget that. Like, I don't want you to forget that there are moments in life where I'd be willing to give a sourdough breakfast sandwich for the sake of your cell phone.
You wouldn't.
I did.
I think that when it comes to priorities, this $4 sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts or the phone I bought 2 weeks ago, the phone outweighs that.
But I can't eat your phone.
So anyway, we get into my mom's car. I say, follow that train. We start doing some math. it's not looking good. The train, because I was like, maybe we can make it to the next stop and I'll run back on the train and check where I left the phone. No shot. No shot. This train is light years ahead of us.
My adrenaline is pumping.
I want to throw up. I have my laptop out now in the back seat. I'm connecting to my mom's hotspot from her phone. I have Andrew looking at the train times on his phone.
I'm calling Lost and Found Long Island Railroad.
And let me tell you something. If you're ever in a crisis scenario where you lose your iPhone, here are the steps you take to ensure the safe return of that phone.
I wish this was a paid ad.
It should be.
It should be.
Because I would happily sing their praises through this. You go in to find my iPhone. You select your missing phone. You mark it as lost. Problem solved in so many ways. So the phone is immediately like locked. You cannot use it unless you enter your passcode. And it says, you might write a little message. I said, I left my phone on the train. Please call this number. And it literally has a little, like, if you... A banner, and the button just says call. So you just press call. You don't have to type anything in. You press call, and it calls. It would call, like, my mom's phone. So
Andrew, you were also alerting, right?
Yes, that's step 2, is then I start pressing play sound by my iPhone. Because I was like, someone's on this train. Someone's going to hear that noise and pick up the phone. Like, it's going to be loud as fuck. And someone will see the phone, and hopefully that someone will be...
But that's not like a ringtone.
No, it's boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And I was praying to God that a good Samaritan would step in. At the same time, you're now talking to the Long Island Railroad Lost and Found.
I'm like, and of course it had to be my phone. I'm like, hi, I just took the Long Island Railroad. It's heading to Babylon.
I was wondering why you did start role playing, and also I was actually at that point I was like, I could have just taken the phone from you.
No, I really was. I was fully on it, and I was like, I left my phone on there. Is there any way that we can like alert them to let them know? And she told me that there's no shot.
Which I think is a error on their part.
It's a huge error.
They could save so much time if they were just able to buzz those conductors and say, hey, some asshole left his phone. If you see it, can you grab it? That's all.
That's it.
And they'll meet you at the last stop.
But you know what? With those train conductors, you can't add another task.
And I would add one more task for them.
I'll meet you in the bathroom.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I'll meet you in the bathroom.
Any conductor. There's a task. I have a task waiting for them.
Yeah, I have a ticket ready to be clicked.
So, not to mention, as this is happening in the back seat, we have tasked by COVID struck mother with driving like she is in an F1 Grand Prix down the highway.
I will say that she has been waiting for this moment, I can tell you, for probably like 10 years.
It kind of felt like everything fell into place in this moment.
Yeah.
You got to act.
Yes.
I was doing a lot of tech things,
yep.
And my mom got to race her car the way she's always dreamt of racing it.
Yeah.
It was actually this tornado of chaos. And then something magical happened. I get a phone call from my phone. And I pick it up, and it's this sweet man. And he says, I found your phone. And I'm so thankful for you. I'm so grateful.
We're throwing out so many thanks, but you were so...
Because I couldn't even believe it. Because it is such a relief. And again, it's so easy. I personally would never steal a lost phone, but it's so easy to imagine why you would. Like,
yes.
He made it his problem. He called me up. I said, I'm on the way to Babylon. He was getting off at Babylon. He waited about 15 minutes for us to get to Babylon. And then I came and I said, please give me your Venmo. Please, like Zelle, something. No. I tried to give him cash. He said no. And he just gave me my phone. And we just went home. And it was literally... It genuinely set the tone for the day being amazing.
I just couldn't even believe there was a moment today where we weren't going to film the podcast, and then also at the same exact time, like, then we were, and then it all ended on a high note. Joe got his phone, and I got my sourdough sandwich. We drove all the way back to that Dunkin' Donuts.
Fuck, yeah.
And you know what? At the end of the day, I was just happy it wasn't me.
And an hour later, we sat down right here to record.
And here we are. Breathe out. Everyone, I want you to take one big inhale and one Big exhale.
And now I want you to open up your Spotify app. I love Good Children. And I want you to rate us 5 stars.
If you haven't done so already. Because we were making really great progress to that 13K mark.
Wasn't it 16?
It was 16. I can't get this number right.
Good children. I am like gonna come out of the gate. Well,
wait, that was.
I'm gonna
shocking.
come out and say it.
Say it.
I feel like I'm hating seeing myself, and that's okay.
Right now?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I keep looking at myself in my monitor.
Joe, I think you look incredible.
It's just like...
What did you just... I'm sorry. I think that we both need to take a step back for a second. And I'm going to be completely honest.
Are we at the peak of our self-criticism?
I think we're at the peak of our self-criticism. I think that you look amazing. Thanks. I think that I look amazing. I think that we deserve to feel that way. And I think no longer... in our lives should we feel like we need to alter what we look like.
Well, this is what I was gonna say. It's not even like I'm not really even being that much self-hating. I was just thinking like I feel like my pants are so high up.
Okay.
And like so I'm sucking in because my pants are so high up. But then it's like if I take my pants down, it's just like let me just think about it.
Well, if you took your pants down, you're gonna be what you look like. Is that horrible to say? What are you hiding?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I could just sit like this and kind of feel more normal. And I feel much better.
There you go.
That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying it in like a I look gross way. I was
okay.
like, I think if I actually embrace what I look like, I'm going to look better.
Exactly. Well, after I just had a fucking... I got yelled at before we got on this podcast in a good way, though.
It felt I felt just like Jessa Johansson in Girls talking to Hannah. I was like, why do you care so much about yourself? Move on.
Move on. No one else is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. And that is genuinely the truth. Because when you can say to yourself, you've let your 20s slip by.
Well, I said it to you first.
Joe was like, you let your 20s slip by.
Well, I just was saying, like, both of us spend so much time critiquing ourselves and hating our bodies. And, like, you can point to hundreds of thousands of comments of people being in love with you. And you literally won't receive any of it because you won't accept it. Because you're like, well, actually, they're wrong. Everyone's wrong about me. I'm the only one who knows that I'm undesirable and unlovable. Like, you sound stupid. Like, stop focusing on yourself.
I know. And I'm changing that because I'm confident now, Joe. I'm confident.
I know. I'm looking at Andrew Muscarella, but I'm hearing Demi Lovato.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I will also say, it's not past me that in a year I will have my own skyscraper. So... I might be confident now, but soon enough I'll be releasing Skyscraper 2.0.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Good Children, the podcast. We're hosts, Joe Hegyes
and Andrew Muscarella, reflect on their 23 years of friendship,
growing up in the late 2000s,
early 2010s,
and all of the nostalgia,
trauma,
and sports camp experiences that go along with it. Because I just feel like we both have individual sports camps that we can talk about on top of our shared trauma of football camp.
Like in a crazy way.
Yeah.
So with that, today we're talking everything football related with us together, sports camps as we said, and things that we're still baggage we're still holding on from these events.
I'm holding some slight baggage. I'm holding a violin case in one hand and a water bottle in the other.
Yeah, that's how I show up I show up to football camp with a violin case and a water bottle. Stop.
So, Andrew.
Yeah, Joe.
Do you recall like when did we do football camp? Going into high school.
Going into high school. And Joe, why did we sign up for it?
Well,
was it going into high school?
No, maybe it was going into 8th grade.
I think it was going into 8th grade.
Okay. That's
it
okay.
Was, and it was.
Because going into high school, we went to Harry Potter World. Yeah. And that was that summer. And that was my summer.
That's the camp that I would rather have been to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did we do something like this, first of all? We went to the St. Anthony's High School football friar football camp, if I recall correctly.
I guess we saw it as an opportunity of conversion therapy.
I think genuinely. I think it was self-prescribed conversion therapy.
Because there's no world in which I mean, yes, I was playing sports. But football for me... That dog is 1 second away. No, I'm not.
You're always starting to murder my dog.
I am. I was like, that was really... That one, what I was going to say was going to be really fucked up. But I'm not going to say it. Okay. Out of all the sports I played, football was the one that, like, I had such a sickness about. I didn't know how to tell my parents I didn't want to play it. Wow. That was the only sport.
I obviously, as we both know, I didn't want to play any sport. But football was... I was like, I don't want to get, like... pushed around and pummeled.
But I mean, like, looking back on it, I kind of want to get pushed around, pummeled, and tackled to the floor, pinned down. Well, I'll be your center.
Wrestling.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like, I never really understood wrestling. I didn't, but now I feel like I would join an adult wrestling league.
But Andrew, I guess I have to be honest with you.
Called, like, being gay in Brooklyn.
That's what I was gonna say to you. Yeah. Like,
get me on a wrestling floor, I'd leave with about 15 ringworms. You know me, I'd be harboring them. It'd be a safe haven.
What do you mean?
I just feel...
What does that mean?
I just feel like if anyone was to get ringworm...
Is that something that happens often for wrestlers?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're getting ringworm a lot? I'm sorry. I'm in pain about the outfit. Not the... It's like...
Take your jeans off right the fuck now. Take them off. It's the jeans. I'm telling you. You're wearing jeans. And, like, I think that your jeans are making you very uncomfortable. Unless you unzip the jeans, take the jeans off. Good. Now, how do you feel?
I feel so much better. I feel actually like a different person.
There you go. And now this is a learning lesson as well, if you keep this in there. If you're wearing jeans and you're saying to yourself, I feel really uncomfortable right now, regardless of the setting that you're in, take the fucking jeans off. Take the jeans off. Because that little metal button, they should be absolving those. Because that metal button comes into your stomach.
Absolving?
Is that the word? I don't think that's the word. Getting rid of.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Absolving feels like it's like offering forgiveness, like absolution for your sins.
Yeah, well, there are some sins to be forgiven as well, I guess, when it comes to jeans. But
okay, so football camp. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing it. I think because I feel like from 6th to 8th grade, I was playing this like long haul con with my family where I was like, when I get to high school, I'm going to play football.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to be, like, honestly starting varsity for football in 9th grade. Because with no knowledge of what football really was.
No, because we thought that football had everything to do with size.
Yes. And everyone tells you that when you're fat growing up.
Everyone tells the fat boys that they would be so good at football.
Yeah.
And I think that my parents, like, definitely thought that there was a world in which I would be in the NFL. Because I think that me and my parents are very similar, I believe, in our delusions.
Yeah.
Like, I could think that I was going to be the most famous person in the world, and they thought I was going to be in the NFL. Right. So, like, we both were kind of wrong.
Yeah.
But when it came to football, I think that everyone expected us to be linebackers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we wanted our backs lined.
You're having some good one-liners.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just feel like it was like, to me, it was like to balance out the Webkins and like balance out the Hannah Montana. I was like, yeah, like I love Hannah Montana and I love Webkins and like I love Littlest Pet Shops, but I'm gonna be playing football in high school.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of similar to your like web of lies that led to you doing things you didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't going to tell my parents that actually wasn't the case. So I just let that lie continue until one day my mom was like, oh, you can do football camp at St. Anthony's. And I said, that's actually exactly what I want. And I'm sure Andrew.
Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Andrew, do you want to go to football camp with me at St. Anthony's?
And you were like, absolutely yes. Perfect. Let me confirm with my mom.
It's like, okay, it's right before lacrosse starts. For sure, I'll be there.
Yeah. And lo and behold, it was like, it was kind of at the end of summer, I feel like.
It was right before we went into 8th grade. Because it was prepping you for the football season.
And I don't remember much about football camp. But what I do remember involves North Korea, involves honey buns, involves like the fat table.
Yep.
Involves falling in love.
Well,
involves
that's a first.
Heterosexuality. Involves a kind coach.
Kind enough.
Involves Franciscan brothers.
Yeah, which.
Well, what?
You said falling in love.
Involves. Pretty much, I feel like that's about it.
I feel like that's the
only no, I'm sorry. It involves double cheeseburgers and Italian subs.
And chicken parm sandwiches.
Yes.
And I do believe that that's the only way that you can describe a football camp. Like, most people would leave football camp and be like, what I gathered from football camp was North Korea and the fat kid table.
Yeah.
Regardless if they took part in it or not. So I feel like that always would stay with somebody.
It all goes back to you, yeah.
It always goes back to that. But no, I do remember football camp. The only thing I really remember about it, though, besides everything that you just mentioned, was actually being on the field and feeling so sick and mortified when we had to do like the conditioning drills.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the push-ups, because I think it's at those moments in your life where you realize, like, my body can't sustain itself, and I also really can't do more than 2 push-ups. That's pathetic.
I still can't do more than 2 push-ups.
Yes, you can.
I could do like 7.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I just feel like for me, I mean, you were at least doing sports. Like, I was coming into this probably like 2 years into my retirement.
Yeah.
Like, I probably last played like baseball in elementary school. So going into football camp, getting on that turf field and being told to like do something that I honestly don't even know what, like, they would say probably as I do a burpee. I didn't know what a burpee was. You know what I mean?
Looking around for guidance.
And like, yeah, trying to copy everybody else. And like with no upper body strength, no core strength, no arm or leg strength, just like throwing my body to the ground on the hot turf and like trying to get my body back up without looking. And this is the challenge. It's like, don't look fat and don't look faggy.
And it's just so hard to not be double effed up, like
fat and faggy at football camp. It's really not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy because you're not hiding the fat and you're not hiding the fag.
And it's like sometimes those 2 F's go hand in hand.
And it literally then fucks you up because it's tripled F. It's like, it really sucks. Like,
because it's like something about not being athletic feels inherently like emasculine.
Yes.
So you're like, I can't do the things that all the boys are doing. I don't feel like I fit in here. No. I feel like a loser. And I feel like everyone's making fun of me, but especially the adults.
Because you know the adults were getting off that field for their lunch break and talking about clocking that tea, talking about us. But this is the problem. This goes right back to the conversation that we just had before I got on this podcast, where you said it's not about you. It's not about you. Now looking back on this, I'm like,
it wasn't about us. It was
about us. Well, it was about. Yeah, it was about the quarterback. It's always about the quarterback.
They glazed right over us. They said, "Oh, the double F's are here. We don't care about them."
They glazed over us like we were fucking donuts. Yeah, that's for sure. But I'll tell you one thing: you're in your mind the entire time during the push-ups, during the burpees, during all of those line drills, saying to yourself like, I can't believe I can't do what other people are doing. And then I was thinking about that the entire time when I was having conversations with these kids, that they were thinking the same exact thing about me, that I'm pathetic, fat, and I can't do this.
Well, because it is like you're entering a space where it almost feels like a competition.
Yes.
Because it was also kind of like they were scouting.
And it was the same time as like dance moms. You know what I mean?
And for us, we're on this turf thinking, who's going to be top of the pyramid this week?
Of course.
And it's so sad.
It sucks.
Because if we were just shipped off to ALDC in Pittsburgh, we would have been top of the pyramid.
Cheerleading camp, I would have been top of the fucking pyramid.
Yeah, well, no.
Well, I would have been. I would have been the base.
For sure.
Because in my delusional mind, I would have been a flyer.
Yes.
Because if anyone could toss and turn like that, it would have been me.
You being a flyer.
the amount of people that would need to catch me on the way down
would start screaming at the top of their lungs. First of all, you would go 45 feet in the air.
I would do about 15 triple axles.
Nose dive back to the ground.
Yeah.
Tension's a brew.
Tension is a brew, yeah.
And I think even though I knew I stood no chance, there was this element of we had an advantage because we were fat.
Yes.
Like, which is crazy. But we were like, okay, like, because my goal kind of, in a fucked up Joker way, was to get onto the the JV team.
For sure.
And be scouted in 7th grade.
I remember you being, like, weirdly happy with the coach liking you.
You're kidding.
No, I remember that. Like, I was like, and your sister for sure was, because she knew that you would be a shoo-in to St. Anthony's for football if this major coach of the team liked you. What was his name? He was like a big deal.
Yes, he was like a big deal.
I felt like I was in the presence of fucking Beyonce.
Yes.
Because this football coach who's coaching a Long Island Catholic
Amanda
school.
warped my brain a lot with St. Anthony's because she was actually so obsessed with it. Like, she loved that school and she loved the football team.
Yes.
So yeah, like, she created these celebrities to me, and the coach was a big deal.
He was a huge deal. I
remember
like, being like, I don't belong here.
And being like, I need to go up to this man and introduce myself. I guess it also was to help get into St. Anthony's maybe a little bit. It was like resume boosting at that time.
I also remember, I'll be honest, that I was having this internal battle the entire time, because I was like, okay, I have two options going forward, and it's either I go to public school or I go to this Catholic school, and now I'm already at this Catholic school camp that I know that Joe's going to be going here, and I really haven't even made the decision to part ways yet, and I was dealing with that the entire time I was on that field. So I want to put that into context for you, that I was sick to my stomach the entire time I was there.
Something's really wrong with us. Something's really wrong with us. Now that I hear it all back, something is really not right, and something is the matter, and there needs to be an urgent conclusion.
Well,
to our lives.
Yes.
And Kim Jong-il had that planned.
Was it ill at the time?
It was ill at the time.
It was ill at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it comes to football camp, especially this camp itself, like, it was probably like an 8-hour camp.
It was a long ass day.
I feel like we got there at like 8 or 9, and we left at like 3. I guess that's 7 hours, or around there, like 3 to 4. Yeah, about 8 hours. But I remember getting there and being like, okay, all I can think about is lunch.
Well, I feel like you really did enjoy the St. Anthony's High School cafeteria when it was provided to you. I feel like you know how to make a cafeteria home.
And those are the people that you want to keep around.
I agree.
If you were that person that went to any school's cafeteria and you said,
made it work.
This is cuisine.
Yeah.
This is DiGiorno. Yeah,
it wasn't delivery.
It was DiGiorno. And the thing about the St. Anthony's cafeteria, as opposed to any other public school cafeteria that I've been to, is that the options were endless, and
they really were.
It kind of seemed as if, though, the chef in the kitchen took a lot of pride in the food that they were making and the specialty sandwiches that they offered.
Because I also think, though, in the summer, it wasn't everything. It was just, I remember you'd walk in.
Yep.
There was, immediately out of the gate, I believe, was like the sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
There were some salads, and I never once got one. There were salads at the front.
Do you mean as in macaronis?
No, like chicken Caesar or something, like right when you walk in.
Yes.
And then there was like the fridges with the fresh sandwiches.
Yeah.
And there was always a delicious Italian trio. It was like a turkey with cheddar, just some different subs and heroes.
And the thing about me is, I'm never necessarily going for that fresh sandwich.
No.
I want
what's next
chef's choice, piping hot, fried chicken parmesan sandwich.
Yes, and we were getting those every day.
Every single day of this football camp. Like, it wasn't gonna make me
ill.
Sick.
I guess it didn't make me that sick yet, though. But they would have the double cheeseburgers, the fryer burger. The fryer burger was the main hit. But yeah, there was the chicken parm sandwich. There was all those like any kind of chicken cutlet situation.
And it's at the point in our lives where we're still young enough to be able to like eat like this when it comes to sports, but I feel like other kids are probably grabbing the salads, the fresh sandwiches, and like muscle milk.
So I feel like no. I feel like 7th graders, I don't care, like you're a 7th grade boy and you are like at a cafeteria that has everything you could possibly want. Like everyone was getting those burgers.
They got churros there?
I wish. We had pretzels.
Yeah, I remember those.
And those amazing chocolate chip cookies. Those amazing chocolate chip
cookies. I like this is like a PSA for anyone that works in a school.
Get the chocolate chip cookies.
Get the chocolate chip cookies. Like it's and if you work in a school and they don't offer chocolate chip cookies, like freshly baked, make change in your school. Like if we can do anything for this podcast, it's like for the kids that are growing up in this generation, like allow them to have these cookies, allow them to have the chicken parm sandwiches.
Because it changes you.
It does. There's only so many pizza stuffed crusts that you can have in your life.
But you know, I always am talking about this and I'm always missing it. But the long hot pockets that we used to have in elementary school, the pizza pockets.
Yeah, for sure.
That were like foot long.
Yeah, they were big
thin.
Long and
they were about
thin.
12 inches long and 1 inch wide.
That's perfect.
Those square ass rectangular pizzas. I remember exactly what that tasted like, and that was horrid.
It was horrid because again, I think I've said this on the podcast before. It's not really hard to make red sauce. It's not.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, you guys. It's just a few simple ingredients.
It really is.
But why are we, as a world, some people are making some of the worst sauces I've ever had.
It's actually astounding. It's astounding.
I'll give you a few. I'm going to give you a few things to do with your sauce next time. Forget the
oregano.
Forget the oregano. Guys.
If you are using or abusing oregano in your kitchen, you must stop.
Please. But
it's not Chuck E. Cheese.
No, it's not Chuck E. Cheese. And if you want it to be Chuck E. Cheese and that's your reasoning for putting an ample amount of oregano in it, go for it.
It's just like, can you stand on business for once?
No, I'm standing on business, but I'm realizing in this moment as well, I feel like some people do like the taste of oregano. I don't.
But this is my point. About what I said in Patreon. It's like, if someone's offended by us saying don't use oregano, they should not care about our opinion.
Hold on, let me reset. Fuck oregano, and I mean that. Take the oregano out, right? Okay.
I feel like ever since you said fuck spaghetti squash, your opinions on this podcast have gotten watered down.
Because
you've been afraid because you were canceled.
Because I was canceled for a really long time.
And you think about me, I've been canceled about 40 times.
Joe, because I said fuck spaghetti squash and I said fuck oat milk. But that was those two things alone. I felt like
people were really mad at you.
Because, yeah, they were mad at me.
Imagine how mad people would be if you said the fuck dogs in public spaces.
Oh, no, I can't imagine what you go through. At least mine were food related, not about life.
Yeah. Can we really? Oh, no, keep going.
Okay. So, no oregano. Take the oregano out of your sauces.
Yes.
And then your sauce doesn't need to be that sweet. I'm just going to say it. It doesn't have to have too much sugar in it.
No.
You can cut the acidity with a little bit of sugar, but maybe next time, Diva, use carrots. It absorbs the acid out of it. Just put a long carrot in your sauce. Take the carrot out at the end, and you're going to find a world of difference in your sauce. And instead of the oregano, basil.
Triple B,
that's all you need. Garlic, onions, tomatoes, basil. And then the pizzas would have been different in school.
Oh, of course.
So get us in those factories.
So we're in the cafeteria.
In the cafeteria. We're eating our lunch at the fat kids table.
And we have our, well, it's horrible to say this, but we have our island of the misfit toys at camp. We have the boys who, the boys who like don't necessarily belong at football camp. And who probably are in the same boat as us in some way or another. In some F or another.
And the boat was sinking. That's so fucked up. I mean, but the boat... Anyways, we're sitting at this table, and we had, I would say, at least two things in common. And you could probably clock what those two things were, but we all found each other, which it was really sweet that we did that.
And it was, yeah, it kind of was like you and I, like, we were, and it's always been this way, we've always had our locked in commonalities. Yes. Like, we've always been safe, but like, we were like, who else wants to get in the mix? Mm-hmm. Who else is getting in on this pot?
And it was nice because I felt like during the camp itself, like I was really uncomfortable and I felt like I wasn't really like being social. But at lunch, I was myself because I was comfortable with these people.
Well, I feel like I still wasn't really being myself with those two. But at least I could eat. At least I could eat.
And not feel judged.
Yes.
And speaking of eating, one of these kids would go to, because obviously we weren't stopping at the cafeteria. You obviously know in every cafeteria there's usually a vending machine, and the vending machine is where you're getting the snacks. That's what you're getting, what you really want.
Yeah.
And I think that we got to a point in our lives where the vending machines were like getting kind of creative with the things that they were putting in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was St. Anthony's.
St. Anthony's had some amazing vending machine options.
Did they have a Dippin' Dot or no?
I wish. Are you crazy?
I know.
No.
Well, I feel like maybe they didn't, but I could have swore there was something along the line.
Sometimes a dip and a dot somewhere in that school.
I know. And I'll tell you one thing, like, I want more Dippin' Dots machines everywhere. I would like that.
Do you think that Dippin' Dots is doing well?
No.
Do you think that it's up to us to save the future of the Dippin' Dots Dynasty?
I think that they dip and been got because they're
gonna dip, dop, and dip.
Yeah, they're gonna drop dot dead.
The last time I had a dip and dop had to be at Adventureland in 2014.
Yeah, at least
with Suckin. And Suckin.
With Dippin' Dots, if you want to look to curators of a really like
the future,
they're creative geniuses. They were taking small pebblets of.
Pebble is the only way to describe what that is.
God even knows what.
Chemicals.
You think it's ice cream. It's not ice cream.
That's a dip and a dot.
That's. I would like to talk to the FDNA. Because I don't know who the hell was, whatever. They were putting.
Now, how did N get in there?
Listen. They were putting 3, sometimes 4 different little flavors of dots in there to then create the whole. Mm-hmm. Which could have been a banana split.
I don't know. It was amazing. It was like banana split, cookies and cream.
I feel like I've had a Napoleon.
Yeah. Strawberry shortcake.
But
my question about Dippin' Dots is, are they innovating? Are they coming out with new concepts? Are you buying... Are they DTC? Are you buying those in stores? Like, can you buy a thing of Dippin' Dots?
Tell you why I think it's because I think it honestly is dry ice.
You can buy ice cream in a store. What's the difference between ice cream and Dippin' Dots?
Right. And they were like portioned out for you. And they were, I will say
they were almost
never enough.
They were like Dixie cups. They were like what you put, and don't get me started on the yogurts. The yogurts that had the little toppings. Like the Reese's Pieces on top of your yogurt that you could dunk in.
Because I would be only eating the
Reese's
top.
Pieces.
I was.
No, I actually loved those. That was kind of my favorite. Whatever those were called, humanity peaked at that point.
I agree.
But the Dippin' Dots were almost in the same size cup as the Reese's Pieces cap to a yogurt. It was a barely fair cup of Dippin' Dots.
I absolutely agree.
And I just don't see those around more. They should start placing those on the streets in Brooklyn.
Because people would be getting them. Because we're living in an era of nostalgia, as we all know.
Nostalgia is the strongest drug on earth. Christy Carlson Romano to Joe Hegyes and Andrew Muscarella this past fall.
When she agreed to come on our podcast.
And then did it.
Yeah, they need them on the streets. But I do think that they could have been in the cafeteria. And if they weren't, that's fine. Because there was a few other vending machines with things just as comparable.
For example,
we're sitting at this table.
Welcome to the stage.
Welcome to the stage, Honey Buns. One of our friends comes over to the table and was like, hey, you guys, did he get honey buns for the table?
I think he may have gotten honey buns for the table.
I think he got honey buns for the table.
That's sweet.
What am I ordering? My Hinge prompt, what am I ordering for the table? Honey buns.
The thing about me and the honey buns of it all, and even the idea of someone else getting them besides us, is like, for the first time in good children history, you remember something I don't. I think I blacked out most of this experience because of what comes after the buns. But I don't really remember what happened. Like, I don't remember how the honey buns got on the table.
There could be any catastrophic event that was to come.
You'll know about that.
But I'll remember if someone came to the table with honey buns. I'll remember that. And he came to the table. I think he came to the table with, if I'm remembering correctly, 2 honey buns.
So we split.
Because if you look at the back of that honey bun,
it's like serving size 8.
8. And you're like, all right, if that's the smallest bun I've ever seen. Anyways, he came to the table with 2 honey buns. And I've never had a honey bun before this.
So this is all making more sense now.
Yeah.
So this was your first time.
This was my first time with HB, and we had a really great time. No, but we started eating these honey buns, and they were pivotal. And I think I said to myself in that moment, I need to start having more honey buns.
I love when you make a decision like that. When you say, I actually need more of this in my life.
Because, like, why? Because, yes, obviously I would have a honey bun and say, these are actually really good.
Right.
But I was shocked. What I was shocked with the honey bun was how soft,
how fresh it was, despite it being in a
bag.
That's just the chemicals for you. They went to the Dippin Dots factory. They said, "What are you guys doing over here?
How can we make these honey buns as soft as possible?"
Yeah,
and they were glazed.
I don't think I've had a honey bun since.
No, and that's what I'm saying. But you know what I have had since is a Krispy Kreme glazed donut, and they do the trick.
Well, I would hope to God that a Krispy Kreme donut outsells a honey bun.
But I'll tell you one thing about honey buns. Today when we were in the convenience store, I wanted to get honey buns. They were out. So,
People are buying.
2, the only honey bun left, and I almost wish I got it, was the honey bun with jelly.
I wish you got it.
Thinking about a honey bun with jelly.
My question is, like, there is, like, this brand of snack that is, like, vending machine snack that, like, no one's standing, no one's talking about, no one's going out of their way to get, but, like, they seem to exist in surplus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of those, like, Entenmann's adjacent prepackaged things and, like, the honey buns, all of the Hostess, like, there are some things, like, we all know a Devil Dog, we all know a Twinkie, we all know those black and white cupcakes, but then there becomes, like, when they're individually packaged for sale, I feel like a line blurs where I'm like, these aren't even, like, these are, like, unrendered video game files that are in front of me that I can't purchase even if I wanted to. They're just there.
They are just
like,
there.
I'm never actually looking at them and acknowledging their existence and looking them in the eyes and saying, you're a honey bun and you're in front of me and I could take you home if I wanted to. But I just don't even think twice. And that's just not even, they're not even real to me. So they're just filler. And isn't that interesting?
This is, like, exactly my experience at a gay club. Like, it's literally, like, I need to start thinking about this. Like, I'm seeing honey buns in the supermarket. It's like, yeah, obviously I'm going to look the honey bun in the eye and take it home with me. Like, I just need to start looking some of my honey buns in the eyes.
It's crazy. Like, there's so much excess. And we're not looking around and saying...
Who's buying them? Like, I actually... If you're buying the individual packed honey buns in the supermarket...
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
A snowball?
I can't even tell you the last time I had a snowball. I think I had a snowball once in my life.
You're kidding.
Because my mom was like, you should have a snow...
I feel like my dad was a snowball head.
He was a big snowballer. But you brought up... You kind of unlocked something for me. It's like... Why am I always passing by the racks on racks on racks of Entenmann's, Little Debbie's, all of these things? And I understand, like...
Maybe that's for the best.
Maybe it's for the best, because if I was stopping and lingering at the Entenmann's racks, like, I would feel differently. And I definitely probably would be... The conversation that we had before this podcast, it would probably be a little bit more dire. I don't think I would be in a good mental state if I was eating... Because I would go through at least 2 boxes of Entenmann's a day, I could assume. But regardless of what you say about Entenmann's, some of the best pound cakes you'll ever have.
Entenmann's does it with the pound cakes. They do it with the little soft chocolate chip cookies. You know the ones.
Of course.
I mean, are they making Pop-Ums or is that Hostess?
No, that's Entenmann's.
Okay, well, they could stop at Pop Bums because that is peak excellence. That is a career all-time high. The person who made the first glazed Pop Bum deserves anything they want.
For sure. Their coffee cakes, very good.
Andrew, their
coffee cakes is amazing. And I'll tell you, like, it's also their corn muffins that I feel like if they discontinued them.
You're kidding.
Because I've been looking for because this is what I do when I walk by the Entenmann's racks.
You do a little.
You put it in your head. You're like, I'm not gonna get anything from here unless I see the corn muffins. And every single time I do take a little gander, and then I'm like, no corn muffins. And I'll tell you, I haven't seen them in a really, really, really long time since I was a kid.
And all you want is to put since I was 9.
Lana Del Rey. Slice them open, slap some butter on that.
Yeah, even a pound cake. You throw that in the toaster. You butter that up.
I would put it on the griddle.
See, that's an extra thing for me to clean, so I wouldn't do it.
With the creme fraiche.
How often are you having this?
Although, I recently realized creme fraiche is literally just sour cream. I thought it was like a whipped cream, but the one that I had recently was so
it just sour? Was it just old?
It was at a restaurant, so I couldn't tell you. That's interesting. Maybe it was a creative interpretation.
So we're back at football camp. It was me and Andrew going into 8th grade. There was a younger boy going into 7th grade. And then we had an older, wiser boy going into 9th grade. And this was a boy who was very intelligent. And listen,
we were very similar.
Well, yeah.
In ways.
In 2 ways.
In 2 ways.
That's horrible. Yes. But he also had a fatherly presence. He had a stronger fatherly presence than even you had at that point.
Yeah.
And I looked to him as a father in many ways.
Yeah.
And despite him being 11 months older than me.
But that's another thing about growing up. It's like the people that were a year older than you would look at them as fathers and say, please.
And this boy says, and I just, he's like up on politics. You know, like he knows what he's talking about. He looks at us mid-honey bun and says, North Korea is going to be bombing the United States tonight and starting a nuclear war. And I can't even.
How do you keep swallowing? How do you keep swallowing your honey buns from there?
And you say this to 2 of the most mentally disturbed, psychological freaks of nature who are 12 years old, just trying to get through arguably one of the most difficult days of their life so far, which is just doing sports with other boys in the heat at football camp.
That's it.
And now Kim Jong-il gets involved and is potentially, and this is, I always had this anxiety, and I think it's 9/11 anxiety, but I was always very afraid growing up because Long Island was so close to the city. I was like, we're the first to go.
Always.
So obviously now, and this is not like, this is a time before like smartphones, this is a time before Googling shit, and a time before we had media literacy of any sort, or at least knew that this happened like once a month. Time's up for the cafeteria. Time to play some football.
Imagine getting back, first of all, you're already battling so many things in your mind when it comes to that field.
Many things.
You're now post chicken parm, honey bun.
You had a life-changing experience with the honey bun, and now you say this might have been the last honey bun I ever ate.
and it was. So who's to say what that moment did for me, that I was like, I can't associate honey buns with anything else but North Korea.
Now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Were there other end of the world news stories, rumors, theories that were thrown at you prior to this that you had to process?
I don't think so. I think that this was the point in my life where we were learning a little bit more about North Korea and the world. So I was definitely, because I've always had a hyperfixation with North Korea. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it was all coming to a head, that I was already prepared for this moment. Yeah. But in a way that was like, I can't believe it's happening right now.
Right. I can't believe this is happening to me at football camp.
To me, like, to us personally.
To us personally.
Because it already felt like going to this football camp
was going to war.
Was enough.
Yeah.
Was going to war, and now you're actually introducing the idea of an actual one.
I remember one time earlier than this, well, twice actually, both happening at the beginning of middle school. There was a rumor that the world was going to end for sixth grade. So that's like 2008.
Yeah.
And there was one of those all the time. But I remember being in tech. And I remember someone said this.
Like, do I just
and
take
there
the
was
saw
a
out of my
kind of a
neck?
weirdo girl. She was a bit of a weirdo. And someone said the world is going to end like in April.
She's probably the same girl that read my palm.
She burst. No, she wasn't the one who said it. Someone else said it. She burst into tears. She was sobbing. And I was like, girl, I wish I was you. I was like, this. I felt this on the inside, but I couldn't burst into tears.
She had a really healthy relationship with her emotions.
Yeah, well, or a really unhealthy relationship to anxiety. Yeah. But then our teacher was like, no, this has been going on forever. For my whole life, they've always said the world was going to end. And every single time, we just keep going on. And that provided me a lot of solace. I was like, oh, so I'm going to hear this forever. And then the second time, also in sixth grade, little Miss Boozy, who brought the beers to my 17th birthday party. I'm in the library with her. I'm having an amazing time. In fact, I'm actually finding a book in the library in middle school. I remember this so vividly. A magazine talking about intersex people. Like in a kid's magazine, like something like an educational science magazine.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, like something's going on. Like, what is this? And then she says, you know that the nuclear holocaust is going to happen by 2009, right? I had to go home. I had to go home.
Crazy that these little kids are spreading an agenda.
By 2009.
By 2009,
you're locked in.
I was like,
I just got here. I'm 11.
I want to know what was going on in the homes of these kids, because it's like doomsday.
It was like kids with older siblings who were like really, like, you had a break. Like your brother and sister are a lot older than you, and Amanda's such a good child that she would never dare. But it was like kids with like bad child older siblings, I think, who would be like, the world's gonna end next year, and that kid would like internalize it and then push it on to FFs like us.
Yeah, and that's really crazy. I remember the world ending in sixth grade, actually, now that you mentioned it. There are different moments where you have those conversations and someone introduces it to you.
Especially when you're fucking 12 years old.
Especially when you're 12.
So there we are. There we are in that football field. We probably have 3 hours left of football camp.
And I'm like...
The sun is blazing down.
Blazing down. And I do think that I do believe I was the center. I'm thinking back to like my positioning. I'm like, there was a hot ass quarterback and I was the center bent over. I don't think my ass was sexual to me until I was in high school.
Yeah.
Not even college. Right. I was so anti-ass for so long. It took me a really long time to come around to ass.
I saw your ass so much in high school.
But I didn't sexualize my ass. That's why I showed you my ass. Well, yeah, in a way that I was like, yeah, I have a fatty, but I wasn't like, yeah, rail me.
No, you never told me to rail you in high school. How much we're on the same page about.
But that's what I mean. And I was like, I have a fat ass and now it's in front of Greg's face. What is your ass gonna smell like after a honey bun chicken parmesan in the blazing heat when you just found out North Korea is gonna bomb you? It's gonna smell like shit. Okay? It is. So I probably was so sick to my stomach. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I can't even imagine listening to this podcast. And like, I'm just thinking back to the Dippin Dots conversation from 6 hours ago that we had. Like,
and now we have completely pivoted.
Yeah, we were playing. I think I got onto the sidelines at one point. I took out my razor and I texted my mom and I said, LOL, this kid just told us that North Korea is about to bomb us. And who was the younger boy of the group, and I projected all this onto him. I said, so nervous about it. Like, it's so crazy how anxious is right now. Like, he can't even like relax, and he's like so scared. It's like about to start crying about this. Like,
you were.
Yeah, I was like, so what should I like tell him? Like, oh. And I don't even know how that day wrapped up.
No. Oh, well, I'll tell you how that day wrapped up. I actually don't know how it wrapped up, but I do remember the idea of leaving that camp and just, again, when you're that young and you accept that it's kind of out of your hands. At the time, we never came out. We never came out, which is sad. I wouldn't have came out anyway, but I wish there was an opportunity for me to come out.
Never had a kiss.
I've been prompted by
that
North
was a
Korea
concern
attack.
of mine.
Never
for a
had a kiss.
Time. I was like, I'm gonna die before I even kiss someone.
Yeah, that's still my concern.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if that's not a football camp for you, I don't know what is. But Joe, it's funny how it worked because you were taking this camp to not be in football in middle school. And I had to go to football in middle school.
Yeah, you broke your wrist. You lucked out.
Thank God on the first day. Everything was leading up to
And then
me.
I signed up for flag football with you, and I didn't want to do it. And you said, let's do it. And then you broke your fucking wrist. And I had to go with your dad every week because he was still coaching. And it was me and your dad.
It is like I don't talk about that wrist enough, like this wrist enough.
Maybe that's why it goes numb. Is that the wrist that goes numb?
This is the hand that goes numb.
Andrew, maybe it has something to do with your wrist breaking.
Well,
that's good news.
That's really good news. It was like the day that I broke my wrist was both the worst and best day of my entire life. And worst day because it was so much pain and I went through the entire practice with a broken wrist, not telling anyone that I had a broken wrist, doing a push-up that I couldn't do in the first place. Best day of my life because I no longer ever had to play football because that would have been my reasoning throughout high school that I would never play. I can't risk my wrist.
Taking risks on the wrists.
But they reset this wrist. They told me it was the same feeling as a gunshot, verbatim. And I took it.
I'm sure you took that one
and I screamed on the top of my lungs. I've never screamed like that. Mr. Muscarella, can you please leave the room to my father? Shut the door. One person on my bicep, one person on my wrist. They ripped it out, popped it right back in, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. Then I had a cast. I was so Dear Evan Hansen.
Learn to slam on the brakes
before I even turn the key. Before I make a mistake. Before I lead with the worst of me. I just imagine we went to theater camp.
It's so sad. Like, we have to have a podcast where we talk about football camp because we didn't go to theater camp. And if we went to theater camp, we'd be happy. And we wouldn't have a podcast because maybe we'd have actual jobs because would have been creatively fulfilled at 10 years old. It wouldn't be searching for something. Like, we would have put we'd be normal people with normal jobs. But because we were creatively unfulfilled in middle school, we are podcasters who are trying to make a TV show. Like, it's so sad. It's so sad.
No, Joe, why would you do that? Like, why would you just spit that out there at the end of the episode? Like, I'm so sick.
It just kind of all made sense to me in that moment. I was like, that's why we were denied what we wanted. So now we are going to chase it for the rest of our lives.
But you know what? I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way.
Yeah.
I'm tired of rumors starting.
Really briefly, Andrew, what's your rumor of the week? Your right up my alley of the week. What's something that's feeling right up your alley?
Right up my alley this week is confidence.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I feel like it should be like a thing. I feel like it should be like a real thing.
Okay. Right up my alley this week. Can it be a snack?
Yeah.
The tortillas, cantina style tortilla chips. If you're not eating those, if you're not munching on them, I'm telling you, they're going to change a lot of things for you. They have the perfect amount of seasoning and it's the perfect snacking snack.
Wow.
Joe, what about you? What's your rumor?
My rumor of the week is literally, it's kind of basic, but I'm going to say it's simply an oat milk latte. An iced oat milk latte. I moved on from cold brews in a big way.
You did.
I'm all about an iced oat milk latte. And that's just the truth.
Good children to the guidance office.
Hi, guys. Oh, my God. Okay, this is my first time calling you guys, and I love your podcast so much. I feel like you guys are like my online friends that don't know I exist, but you bring me so much joy. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask people. I think it says a lot about your personality. And it's, if you were a furry, what would your persona be? Personally, I think my persona would be a purple or pink squirrel, because I definitely have like feral squirrel energy sometimes. It can be as detailed or as vague as you want, but I'm really curious. You can also be a scaly, which is like a lizard or a snake or like a bird. So yeah, let me know. Love you guys. Bye.
I don't think I'd be turned on by being a lizard.
You're like
or a snake.
scaly.
Like we know I'm like one bad day away from like leading into the furry community. So it's
You're
like
right.
I think I'd be in the first space.
You're right. I think like I have two.
I feel like you had one right away.
I have two.
Okay, go.
One is like I'd be like a horse.
Nay.
Like
Boots.
come on. Like can you even believe that?
You'd be like a little miniature pony.
I'm like that was really it. That was it. That was good.
I'm singing tomorrow.
So I have horse for a few reasons, and you can figure those out. And I just feel like they're sweet, and you can ride them, and like they're really cute. The other one's a dolphin.
Whoa.
Because I recently saw a furry dolphin.
Yeah, we were together for that.
Yeah, and I kind of was like, They're playful, they're fun, and I kind of was into it. Yeah, I kind of was into it. They both have like big dicks.
I don't know. It's kind of a major and massive decision for me. I feel like I would want to be. What color are you, by the way?
Oh, I would say for the horse, I would like to be like a light blue horse. Okay. With the whites, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's probably like a little like cinched waist.
Okay.
With like a little bow. But then I think that for the dolphin would be like purple. Okay. Because I feel like that's like sensual. Okay. You'd be like a love frog.
I was thinking about that just because it's behind me. But no, I don't think, again, reptiles aren't really it for me. I really hurt my voice. Like a satyr, like in Greek mythology.
Of course, Joe, with your little feet.
Yeah, I love a hoof. I love having a hoof. So I would be like a sexy half goat. And I would want that half to be like maybe like
a Bottega Veneta green.
Like a key. No, because I want it to feel a little bit natural.
Yeah.
I feel like a mossy green. Like a mossy green. A mossy green.
Yeah, I can see mossy green on you. I can see mossy green on you with your little legs.
Yeah.
Like thick thighs almost.
Yes, yeah. I'm like yeah.
But like you on the top?
I would like that. Or opposite of a minotaur. I have like a bull head.
Yeah. Like I want my head to be covered for sure.
Well, that's maybe I have to go more minotaur route.
Yeah.
Like a big ass minotaur.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Check
back in a couple months.
Yeah, I love that.
We're both wearing fursuits during this podcast. Well, what an episode.
What an episode. We took you everywhere. I hope you enjoyed. I know that we were going to say we were going to talk about other camp experiences, but
we'll just save that.
Football camp just felt right.
And felt like enough. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you on Friday for an exclusive episode on Patreon. But until then, don't forget to do your homework.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, send it to your friends, scream it from the rooftops. It's getting nice out, you guys. So play it. You know what? I never like when anyone plays a video out on the train, but maybe you start listening to our clips without headphones on the train so loudly that someone says, "Can you stop that?" And you say, "Well, that's good children." And then that's your response, and then they'll start listening. I think that's a smart way to look at it.
That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking marketing for us.
That's very good, Andrew.
Okay. Thanks. You know where to find us across all social media platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella. I'm on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
I'm on Instagram at Joe Hegyes, and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe. Okay, well, I guess we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
It's you and me. There's nothing like this. Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. Okay. Those are voted most likely to run away with you.
That's one that, like...
It missed
me.